full-blown acceleration here. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with this 4Runner. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. So under the hood of the 4Runner, we have a naturally aspirated 4-liter V6 that goes through a 5-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 16 around town and then 19 on the highway, with power outputs being 270 horsepower and then 278 pound-feet of torque. Now coming to the front of the 4Runner TRD Off-Road, we've got the really cool vent there at the top of the hood. And then coming down below, we do have the projector bulbs, which they are blindingly bright, to be honest. And then you've got the fog lights just down below that. And then you've got the traditional 4Runner front end. And then this does come with the higher ground clearance bumper because, well, it's the TRD package, so what more could you expect out of it? And other than that, there's the front end. Coming around the side here, we've got two 65mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well, which, I mean, the wheel is perfect for off-roading. Not only does it look like an off-road wheel, but it's the perfect size. Now, as for the tires, these are a little bit more on the street side, so if you do get this and you are going to take it off-road, I would recommend getting something a little bit more aggressive than what this has from the factory. And then you guys can see the suspension right there. This does come with skid plates as well. And then you've got the mud flaps, which is another nice little touch. And then other than that, here is your full side view on the TRD Off-Road 4Runner. Let's pop into the back of the TRD Off-Road. So first off, you guys can see you get this nice flat loading floor and tons of cargo space back here. Full power outlet with a 12-volt, and then you get this gigantic, and I mean gigantic, cargo cover here for the rear. Toyota first aid kit, which, I mean, I bet in like 50 years from now, this is going to go for auction for like a stupid amount of money. So like if you buy a 4Runner, make sure you keep the first aid kit in mint condition. But other than that, there is everything for the back of the 4Runner. That don't work. That does. Now let's go over the rest of the rear, and by the way, this is finished in Barcelona red. I do like the little crossbars there at the top. The taillights are pretty unique looking. Got the giant exhaust tip and then the receiver hitch just right next to it. But other than that, there's the back end of the 4Runner. Enjoy it while it still exists. Here's the door panel on the back of the TRD Off-Road. So first off, you've got the red stitching here at the top with all the soft touch all over, and then more stitching just down below. And then you've got kind of like the dark metallic trim right here. It's like a very dark gray. It almost looks black. And then coming to the seats, notice that yes, they do have the recline function. And then you've got full cloth seats here. The cloth on it is relatively soft, but it's actually sitting in them. So stepping in, you do have to kind of step up to the 4Runner. Now I'm 5'11". Yeah, you could fit pretty tall people back here. Legroom is decent as well, and then you've got a couple of vents right there, and then you've got some USBs as well, and got some more cup holders that plop down. Let's scoot over to the recline side so that we can, well, there's like no headrest, so I can't really lay down, but now I can live the life of luxury, but then also with my like head going really far back. Now coming to the door panel here at the front, again, you've got all of the nice soft touch with the red stitching all throughout. And then up here is where your window controls are. And you got your little door handle just down below. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, all of the black cloth with the interesting design there in the center portion. Bolsters are pretty soft. They are fully power adjustable. And then you can see it says 4Runner TRD Off-Road for the floor mats. And then you got the pedal layout just down below. And then over here, this is to turn on the power outlet. That's for the windshield wipers. And then you got your mirror adjustments right there. The steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. Ooh, boom. Now here's the steering wheel in the 4Runner. So they have kind of like interesting material there at the top. You guys can kind of see the texture on that. But then you got like the perforated leather on the side. We're actually going to grab the steering wheel, so who cares about the top, I guess. But coming over here, we've got the controls for your center stack with the little pages button, your collision assistance, your lane departure assistance, phone controls right here, and then your volume and voice command controls as well. You've got little stock there for the lights and the turn signal, and then the windshield wiper stock on the other side, and that's the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. It is pretty analog, but that's what the 4Runner is all about. So you've got the RPMs and the speed, and then you do have that screen there in the center, which you can scroll through a couple different menus. You guys can see like the music, you can see the well, it's a compass actually, steering angle for the off-road, and then you got like information on the vehicle itself. So yeah, nothing too crazy there. And here in this little part, we do have the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, we do have a backup camera. You do have trajectory lines. They don't turn with the steering wheel, but resolution's good. Now, as for the rest of the screen, response time on the buttons is pretty decent. I mean, you press stuff and guess what? It happens. So yeah, pretty good. Again, a little bit more on the like old school side of things, not size, but side. But that's what the 4Runner is all about, guys. So just down below the screen, we've got a bunch of buttons, and they just feel really solid. They look really solid. They're massive too. Like, look at my hand next to these buttons, just how large they are. Like, they're completely oversized. I think they're just trying to like use up the space, and they don't have a lot of buttons. So they're like, okay, we have to make these absolutely massive. And then you guys can see USB and a 12 volt. And then we do have our drive line select right here. So you've got your 4-wheel high, you've got your 2-wheel high, and then you have a neutral and then a 4-wheel low, all for off-roading. And you guys can't, maybe if I like put the camera up, you can hear it. Like, this actually vibrates. As the SUV is on, it actually vibrates. Like, you can feel the shifter vibrating. And then you do have the transmission selector for that 5-speed automatic. You can manually shift the gears yourself if you want. And then you got a little cup holder in front of it, but that is that. Now, just in this little area, we've got some carbon fiber. We've got some blank switches, which I'm pretty sure these are the heated seat buttons. And then another cup holder. And notice, this is like the same thing that they have with the fog light in the front end. So, like, it's on the inside too, people. This is for the rear window. So, yes, even though this is not a pick-me-up truck, yes, I said pick-me-up truck, you still get a window that raises and lowers there in the rear, so you can let your gigantic dogs hang out in the back, because everyone that has a 4Runner has gigantic dogs. And then we do have the center console here with the red stitching. Decent amount of storage. And then we've got the glove box right here, which this up here, pretty nice looking trim, but decent sized glove box. And as for the rest of the dash, hopefully you guys can see kind of like the material there on the dash. Pretty interesting with the look. Now I've got some pretty neat controls up top. We got our light controls, you got a lighter colored headliner, got the locker, the A-track, and then the stability control, and then you got your crawl control, and then you do have your drive mode select, which now we need to get into the drive modes. And for the crawl control, it'll let you know what you have to do. I'll press the button so you guys can see. It gives you basically a little pop-up telling you what mode you have to be in for that to work. Now here in the center, we do have the crawl control, which you press that, and you can see that you have shift into 4-wheel drive. It gives you the instructions. Now for the drive modes, that's the pretty cool part. So you press the button, and then you've got the multi-terrain select, which it'll let you go through the different drive modes. My favorite is mogul. Like, you hear that with skiing, but no, this is an SUV. You've got your mogul mode. Yeah. Now that we're done going over the interior on this 4Runner TRD Off-Road, let's quickly get into the pricing. So, in terms of pricing, this 4Runner stickers for about $43,000 before any type of market adjustment. That all being said, let's take her out. Let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off in this 4Runner TRD Off-Road. So first off, you guys can see visibility over the hood is pretty decent. And then you do have your visibility through both of the mirrors. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear, a bunch of really large windows. So visibility in the 4Runner TRD Off-Road is just really good. And that all being said, well, let's set off. Well, we are setting off here in this 4Runner TRD Off-Road, and you guys probably saw when I like inserted the key earlier that someone scratched it, probably someone who was test driving this. This is a pro tip that I don't know, I'm mentioning this just because I'm sad to see like a brand new vehicle that has that on it. Whenever I insert a key that's like a manual key like this, what I actually do when I'm not filming is I put my fingertip over the tip of the key, and like if you're not looking, then you put your fingertip over and then you put the key in. And so like if you don't miss it, your fingertip's gonna hit the plastic and not the key itself. And then once you find the hole, again, if you're not looking, then you actually insert the key. So just a pro tip so you don't scratch it like what whoever did to this, which is again sad. But let's actually talk about this 4Runner. So first off, definitely has a big substantial feel to it, which I definitely really like, especially for like an off-road type SUV. You want something to feel like substantial around you so that you feel protected when you are going on the off-road. And from a steering perspective, the steering definitely has an interesting feel to it. It's pretty light, but it's definitely got quite a bit of vagueness to it. It's not bad like a Jeep Wrangler, or you guys can see a Jeep Gladiator up there. It's not bad like that, but definitely has some vagueness to it, which would take some time to get used to. On road, this is really smooth. It definitely has kind of more of like a luxury car type feel to it. And I've had some people mention in my videos recently, like when I drive here, that like, why is the steering wheel crooked when I'm going straight? All the roads in Utah are dipped down pretty deep to that like way. So the reason the steering wheel is like this is because it's keeping the car from going into the curb. So it doesn't steer like this. Like if I was on a flat road, then the steering wheel would actually be straight. Another little pro tip about Utah. But other than the ride quality, the road noise, it's pretty minimal. Like this is more of an old school vehicle, but at the same time, it's still like rides really smooth and quiet, and it's just nice. Well, we're gonna see how this goes over these little train tracks. Yeah, it doesn't really upset it whatsoever, but let's get our full-blown acceleration here. Didn't gear down or anything like that, which was pretty interesting. It just kind of like stayed in the same gear it was. You guys heard the power figures, not crazy. This is a bigger sized SUV, so the acceleration, I mean, is not crazy, but I'm gonna go in the manual mode and see if that's a little bit better. So you guys can see, like, you can hear me press it. Does take a second for the gear shift to come into effect, but definitely, like, you can pick the gear in the manual mode, so it might be a little bit better from an acceleration standpoint, so you can go into a lower gear than what this does automatically. Now, other than that, like I said, it's right where it needs to be. Like this is kind of a weird vehicle because it technically kind of competes against like the Jeep Wrangler and all that, but you can't take off all the door panels and the top like the Wrangler, but that's kind of where the 4Runner sits. And well, let's actually get into some of the things up with the 4Runner. So I actually drove a Toyota Highlander right before this, an XSE Highlander, and I can definitely feel the ride quality difference. This definitely feels more substantial, but it rides nicer than the Highlander. Over bumps, this isn't as nice, but like on the road, I don't know, it just feels smoother, it feels nicer. Like I get the appeal of the 4Runner, and that's where this vehicle is kind of weird. So a lot of people complain because it's outdated and it isn't that powerful, and the transmission's old and the engine's old and all this stuff. Here's the deal. This is for the buyer that wants a brand new car with a warranty that has no miles on it, right? That's what a brand new car is. And they want something that is a little bit more old school, and they want something that they don't have to worry about stuff breaking, so it's really reliable. And the Tundra and a lot of Toyota's other products like the Tacoma too, they just fit into that little category. Like, yeah, it has a little bit of a newer infotainment system, but all the mechanical stuff, the stuff that can be pretty expensive to basically replace, is really old school and really robust and really reliable. So you could buy one of these brand new, have a warranty on it for the first little bit, and then after that, it's just going to be able to take a ton of mileage, a ton of damage, all that kind of stuff. When I say damage, like, you could take this off-roading and you wouldn't have to stress about something breaking on it because of how robust this has been built. And that's the market for the 4Runner. If you're looking for like the newest, techiest SUV, the 4Runner is not for you. But if you want a brand new SUV that has a warranty, that's really reliable, and you know stuff's not going to break on it, then that's where the 4Runner is going to shine. And as for this TRD Off-Road package, there's 4Runner's kind of confusing right now. You've got the TRD, you've got the Venture, you've got the Trail Edition now. Like, there's so many different packages. I would just sit in all of them and look at all of them and pick the one that fits your budget the best, basically. Now, that is going to sum things up for a video on this 2021 Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with this 4Runner. Check out the inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.